Well, you better know what you're biting off when you want to get into working on outdoors and getting things done properly within code, and so that they last for a long time. We've got an expert here who's helping me realize, boy, there's a lot more that goes into this than the average person realizes. Matt's Outdoor Contracting. Matt's in the house. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be back in just a second. Welcome back to the Your Little Castle Show. We are here. I get to, I jokingly say, but it's really true. I double my knowledge. My dad said, be careful talking to that guy. You might double your knowledge. Sometimes you do get some experts, especially when we're inviting in business owners in all the time. They know what they're doing or else they wouldn't have made it, because it's a lot tougher to run a small business competing with the big guys and all the overhead that they take on, but you don't have, and just performing to keep it going, because but when you got deep pockets, it's easier. But small business owners, we got to keep fighting for everything we get.
It is not easy.
Well said. There, summarize that for you. It is not easy.
Write that down.
It's worth it. Yeah, write that one. It's worth it. I didn't say it would be easy, but I said it would be worth it. We covered a lot last half hour. If you guys missed the first half hour, Matt gave us some great information about what it takes to run and do outdoor work with regard to concrete, decorations, Christmas trees, lights, all those fun things that you get into, and he's got all the information out there on his website too. Sets himself apart as a small business because he really pays attention to communication. So he was answering questions before I asked him. He's on the ball. Here's one I didn't pose to him yet, so he doesn't know this is coming. But what's the biggest mistake that the average homeowner makes when they're trying to get some work done on the outdoor of their house? Whether that's concrete, a pool, patio, what's the biggest mistake they make?
I would say, and this is not just big projects, it's small projects too. If you're having anything done at your house, whether it's a concrete patio or you're getting the flower beds redone or a new driveway or a retaining wall, whatever, or even inside, that's kind of across the board, is if you're getting a quote for something, don't compare apples to oranges, compare apples to apples. Because if I'm quoting someone for, let's say, a driveway, and I'm going to run the drains out too, and we're going to patch the yard, well, the next guy might be quoting, it's the same driveway, he may not be doing the drains, and he may not be fixing the yard. So, yeah, his quote's cheaper, it's probably good quality of work too, but it's difficult from a contractor's perspective to be able to say, well, this is for the exact same thing, but we're not in your head, so we're just quoting it based on the information that we're given from the beginning. So I find that over the years, it's been across the board, no matter the job. That is a typical thing I think people overlook. And it's not that it's wrong, it's just more difficult from our perspective to be able to quote the project accordingly. And in addition to that, it's more like, well, is the project saw through? Like typically when we go and do concrete, we also fix the yard. Some guys don't, and that's okay. But if it's not included in the bid, then that's just how they operate, and that's totally fine. I typically like to just fix everything so it's done and no one has to worry about it.
Yeah, how often is it they bring in the machines that tread over and stir up the grass and all the other things that are going on, and then they look back and like, what did you guys just new construction? Yeah. They just tore everything out here?
Yeah.
Where'd your sod go that they put down, and all those kinds of things that are relative to that. But I like what you're saying with the point, though, that make sure you're comparing apples to apples, because so often somebody goes, well, this guy said he's going to do this, and this is what I'm going to get, and this is how much it costs. Well, he didn't mention this, and he didn't mention that. Why aren't they on the bid? And that would have added 10%, 15% to the cost, and it's going to be different.
Yeah, it's difficult, but if everyone can, and as long as they compare apples to apples, it usually works out better for everybody.
Well said. And somebody being straight, Matt and I were talking before. He's like, I just tell it like it is, man. I just be a straight shooter. Just got to be real with people and help them understand what's going on, and just be honest and upfront. Not flashy, but get it done. Residential, commercial, a little bit of each. All residential. What do you like about them? What do you prefer?
A little bit of both. Typically, in the space of like concrete and landscaping, we've done mostly residential over the years. Some commercial projects. I've looked at a lot more commercial projects than we ended up doing. With holiday lighting, it's a good mix of both. Generally, primarily residential in that space. They're both good in their own respect. I like certain things about residential. I like certain things about commercial. I definitely think residential is more personable with people. Like, it's a more one-on-one, more of a trust thing because you're like, if you're paying someone to do something at your house, you're talking with the contractor directly or some companies, the salespeople, or however their structure is. It's a more one-on-one, personable situation. Whereas if you are dealing with a corporate company, commercial. Sometimes it's mom and pop, but a lot of these bigger places, you're dealing with maybe the regional manager, and it's a little bit less personal typically. And in some of my experience at either municipalities or commercial places, you typically deal with the same person. Because what we've done, like with the holiday lighting, it's typically one person making that decision. They might need approval from higher up, but that's none of my, I guess, concern in that space. But it's just you deal with the same people, so it makes it easier sometimes.
There you go. So put a handle on all of that and making sure, bottom line, either way, making sure you get a high quality product. And you can see we changed pages here. You can see just some of the examples of the work Matt has done here. We're going to go over that a little bit more depth here as we come along here. But what do you like about St. Louis? You're based out of Eureka. It's a little bit west, but you probably Fenton, where I grew up, not too far from there. I would have gone to Eureka High School. They didn't have Rockwood Summit. That's how old I am. Rockwood Summit is new for me, and that's been around since 1998 or something like that. I think was the first year. My buddy
I was
Joe,
1 year old.
Okay, there we go. Thanks, man. But my buddy Joe was 6 years younger than me. Was the first graduating class. But now, but that little area. Do you service the whole metro area? Do you go to the east side, Metro East, north? Where do you?
Yeah, primarily from Mississippi River up through Washington area. I mean, we have a project coming up in New Haven before too much longer, which that's not our primary area, but I've done plenty of work in those areas. I grew up in Villa Ridge, and then now I live in Eureka at a previous family member's house. So based out of Eureka, technically in that respect. And our main area, I would say, is anywhere between like Webster Groves, Kirkwood, out through Eureka, maybe a little bit further west. But it's not typically a problem to go further north or further south. I mean, we've done some work in Florissant. Like I said, we got a project coming up in New Haven. We've done work down in Imperial and Herculaneum. So
yeah, pretty big area there. There's about 3.3 million people in the whole St. Louis metro area, and about 600,000, 700,000 of those are on Metro East, and then all the rest is over on the west side. But St. Charles is a big area. I'm sure you've had a few jobs out in the St. Charles area, and Chesterfield and Baldwin and all those places. So you'll go. What do you like about the people that you deal with in St. Louis? I understand people here are pretty nice.
They are nice. I've been fortunate over the years to pretty much have nice people across the board, easy to work with, easy to handle. If there's an issue that comes up mid-project, everyone's usually pretty understanding. And from my experience, I feel like I treat people with as much respect as I can, so I typically get that in return. I don't want to come off as the person that is cocky, that thinks that they know everything, because I don't feel like you get as much respect in return if you start acting that way.
Arrogance, everybody. That's not a good method. There's a lot of people say, I've got to be confident or overly confident. That can lose some business for sure. And how many of us are perfect and know everything? Nobody. If anybody acts like they know everything, run the other way, right? But you got to work with the experts that have put it together. And St. Louis is just generally a good community. I hear about people who work with other parts of the world. Not going to say anything particular, but just in St. Louis, everybody's pretty nice. You can get a good conversation.
Generally speaking, yeah.
Everybody's got their bad apples or rotten eggs, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
But
that's anywhere you go in the world.
That's the way the world is. There's 1 out of 1,000 people, you can give them $1 million and they'll still curse you. So I've studied this, and so if somebody's out in the public a lot, I don't get much of it, but I see sometimes, and there's just always something wrong with that person. And pray for them. They need some help. Tell me a time though when you went through a situation where you really had to help somebody, that you could tell maybe the project they took it on, started doing it themselves, or they had another contractor that couldn't finish the job, and you had to step in and make things right.
So there's been a couple times over the years. It's not as so much. It wasn't a mid-project situation. It was more they had something done, and we did it. I guess how they work. It was either they were expecting it originally. One example, some drain work, which is, in my opinion, pretty not day one, but it's pretty early on in terms of landscaping and contracting work. Bury downspouts, run them out to a different spot to let the water flow away from the foundations and things like that. And they had one guy do it, and he didn't use the right material. He used the flimsier corrugated pipe, which is the black pipe with ridges on it, instead of using a solid PVC pipe. And we always use solid PVC pipe anyway, pretty much on any job. It's more rigid, it lasts longer. If it's under a driveway, it doesn't cave and the roots don't poke into it. But I don't know what the total situation was with the homeowner. From my understanding, they wanted the PVC done. The guy didn't do it. And based on the price that I know that he gave him, I could understand why, and I talked him through that. So getting them fixed up. And generally speaking, a lot of it is just maybe a miscommunication with them and the contractor. I don't want to speak for them, but we can make it right and at least get it done the correct way.
That's what it takes. I mean, how many times would we have never gotten there if we gave up the first time we ran into a hurdle? But persist and keep working at it. You'll get there if you never give up. And especially important on a big project when you've got somebody's home that you've started on a $30,000 project. You want to make sure you do get it completed correctly and completely. And even if there was an issue, you took care of it. Tell me a time though with your business itself where you had something you learned, maybe the hard way, or you're like, "Whoa, that was a challenge." No cursing allowed on the show, of course, but we all want to do that sometimes. We get frustrated, but you came through anyway. But you learned something.
There's been a lot of times, and I think if you learn something the hard way, I don't want to say it's the best way, but you definitely remember it. And my dad always said something about, the best way to learn is the hard way. And that's been pretty much true because it's something you don't forget. Like you said earlier, nobody's perfect. There's been a lot of challenging weeks over the years, and it isn't so much what happens on job site. It's just the order of operations to get like a finished product. What's the path of least resistance to get there, whether you're pouring a concrete driveway or you're redoing the front landscaping. Pretty much the more important lessons for me have been the point where you get from A to B. It's not so much doing the job while you're there, it's everything you organize to get there and do it in a timely manner. And I think that's primarily from experience, just doing it multiple times, figuring out, well, we need to do this, that, and the other thing the day before. We need to do this, that, and the other thing the morning of, or however the situation is going to work. And understanding the time it takes to do stuff and how many people are needed and that sort of thing. So that's, for me, has been the most important learning aspect, aside from just doing the work, is being able to just be as effective as possible. And there are typically things that happen, especially on a bigger job, something that will come up that was unforeseen, whether we were doing a patio in the spring. It was a big patio, and in the middle of it there was a giant tree root, it was like a big root ball that was under where we had to put the patio, so I had to go get a different machine to dig it out. So just understanding how to handle the situations as they come about, I think, is the most important thing, especially with contracting work, whether you're putting floors in or drywall or you're putting a retaining wall in, just understanding how to handle the situation when it comes about and do it effectively.
Allocating resources, everybody. That's a important thing to learn. I don't think we've ever talked about that before on the show, but how often is it the case? Yeah, you better know what you're talking about, what the job needs, and if you're going to get it done, make sure you have the resources to do so. True of producing a TV show, true of producing a theatrical performance, my mom, true of producing a patio for somebody. You better have the right resources, and if you can't get the job done, then you're going to cause yourself a whole lot more headaches. So a lot of fun we get to learn here from our experts. With that, we're going to jump out to some more of the fun in the community, and we'll be back here a little bit, show you a little bit why we do this show and what we're doing in the community too. If you know anybody that should be highlighted, get a hold of me. I'm easy to find. Go to Your Little Castle or just Google search Cardinal Cowboy, and most of what they say about me is true out there. It's a lot of fun stuff, though. Stay tuned, everybody. This is the Your Little Castle Show.
Guys, he's amazing.
You were driving around town and you went past your old high school and said, thought about stopping in, but said, there's nobody here left that I know. But in fact, your high school drama teacher, Judy Rethwish, is still there.
Yeah.
And she left a little message for you.
Hello, John. This is Judy Rethwish from the Afton School District. And I just wanted to say that you've made some wonderful contributions to our district. And we're so proud of you and all the things you have done. I'm particularly proud, and I remember when you had the lead in Hello Dolly, and we got a standing ovation for that show. And I saw the light in your eyes And I knew that's what you were going to do the rest of your life.
Wow.
Special.
That's got to be special.
Yeah, yeah.
She saw it in you.
She had to fight to get me into a couple of productions because I was on the D list.
Well, you're on the other list now.
Affairs. Yeah, well, let's not go nuts.
100 acting credits, I think you're on that. You made it.
Really?
Yes.
Yep. Counted them up.
Break them down.
Could you list them all for us? No kidding. John, thank you so much.
Oh, thank
You're
you.
going to be sticking around. You're going to help us out with some trivia, right?
Yep.
Some
Right.
Springfield trivia is coming up in just a sec. Then later, since we are in the birthplace of Route 66, we are going to have our own classic car show.
His name is Carter Rethwich, but in St. Louis, he's known as the Cardinal Cowboy. He's a well-known fixture in the stands at sporting events in the Gateway City. He's one of its greatest cheerleaders, a super fan like no other. When he makes his rounds at almost every home game, he shares his love for sports with the rest of fandom with a smile, a cheer, some positive encouragement, and lots of selfies and pics. But the Cardinal Cowboy was born of a tragic incident. Rethwich was an aspiring athlete in high school and college. He dreamed of playing in the big leagues, but those dreams ended when he and 3 of his college friends were hit with a devastating crash by a 5-time drunk driver. One of his best friends died. Carter suffered a critical head injury. The trauma put him in a coma for 6 days. The doctors said he was never expected to function again. Those expectations never came true. He fought back and finished college. He was determined to prove the doctors wrong. Among other inspirations, it was his love of baseball that kept him going. And from his near-death experience, the Cardinal Cowboy emerged. His goal in life became to inspire others with positivity despite the odds, to help people believe in themselves and achieve their dreams.
So after my coma, I realized that it was up to me if I was going to accomplish my goals, if I was going to reach my dreams. Despite what the naysayers would say, the people that were discouraging me, like they do everyone, it's up to me if I'm going to make it. Don't listen to the naysayers. It's up to you. You decide whether you're going to succeed, whether you're going to reach your goals. Dream, and then always, always chase your dreams. Never give up. Giddy up. By now, we are on ABC 5 times a week. So many businesses are loving what we're doing to help them get their name out there. We'll sit right here in our guest chair, right here, sitting here talking to us. We're going to put on the wall your website and everything about you, and highlight you as a leader. Fill out the form you see here on our website. It's bigleagues.com, and if you go to bigleagues.com, fill out this form. Takes just a couple seconds, and you can even schedule yourself right here. Schedule yourself to be on the show, and there's no charge for us to record you. There's no charge to be in the studio. Check it out if you would like to be on. Fill out the form again, bigleagues.com. This is where we can turn any interview into a series of clips. Professional video on your website closes more sales by instantly building trust, clearly explaining complex products, and keeping visitors engaged longer, reducing bounce rate by 34%. It'll help you to gain that credibility, increase engagement, simplify complex tasks, lower your sales friction, and boost your rankings on the search engine. So this is all kind of a no-brainer. See how we've now had over 500 interviews and now almost 250 different business owners. Go to bigleagues.com. That's bigleagues.com. Go to bigleagues.com and get signed up. You can schedule right from there. So with that, everybody, we get to talk about more fun in the community. We love it. But if you'd like to learn how to magnetize your media, pick up our book right here. It's called Magnetize Media. Yours truly wrote the introduction. This is a #1 seller pretty much because I wrote the introduction. No, I don't know about that, but it's a lot of great information. They said, Carter, who else do we know that has done more to magnetize their media in a fashion that I don't pay for 97. Before we started our show here, I didn't pay for any kind of advertising. I did all through social media, got my name out there, and then I got involved with all kinds of cool stuff with Major League Baseball and the Cardinals and charity events and national events, and it's been a lot of fun. But that book really shows you how to get into it, and it's on Amazon, #1 seller in that category. The book is Magnetized Media. With that, we have kind of an expert here. You've done your own website, you got your own social media, you got your reviews going. You use a good, I won't give a free plug to the company for the website development, but a good company that does a great job. But you did the site yourself. It looks good. Tell me, though, how has technology and all of this evolved? I mean, you're 10 years of being around doing business, and what technology has done for you?
So when I started, I had a neighbor down the street print up some door hangers for free. I was 12 or 13, and it was like he printed them up for free 50. I got a few at the time when we cut grass. Got a few yards off it, and that was cool. And then in like 2015 or so, I started create the Facebook page, and then like a couple years later, I did the website, and I built the website myself. And I've always, like, when I was younger, I started using Photoshop and stuff like that. I think I said that earlier, but started using that, so I have a familiarity with graphic design and Photoshop and Adobe Premiere Pro and stuff like that. So being able to edit pictures and video has been beneficial, although I don't have the time in the field to take videos like I wish they did. But hopefully soon we can do more with that. But just being able to create a website myself, it wasn't even really about saving money per se. It was more about, like, I can just do it myself, and we've always had plenty of work, really. There's been, especially in the past probably 4 or 5 years, there's not been too much time where I feel like I'm starving for a bunch of work. Like, yeah, we're scheduled out a couple months, but I would rather be scheduled out more, but it's still consistent enough where it's, to me, I never felt the need to do more with it. It just needs to be something professional and presentable to people, a way to contact me, whether it's Facebook, phone, call, or text, or the website. It all comes to me.
There you have it. We'll talk a little bit how people get a hold of you and get started with you. But first I want to ask you, what's the biggest mistake you see a lot of the big guys make when they're doing work for people? There's a lot of opportunity to mess things up here, but what do you see is often you gave me some information or your feedback there, what is the biggest mistake people often make?
Yeah, like I said earlier, it's really just comparing different scopes of work to two different contractors, expecting the bid to reflect the same thing. A lot of it, people might have a misconception about communication with who they're dealing with, which is totally fine. If you're in a situation where you have sales guys and project managers, that's awesome, and it takes a while to build a team that's effective like that. But in my situation, I pretty much handle stuff from the top down on every project at this point in time. Just be able to give the customer the best communication that I can. And I think it's really just like communication again, just being clear from the get-go what's expected, how are we going to handle the situation, how is it going to end, all that kind of stuff.
Well said. Yeah, I mean, get to the point and let people know that you're going to handle it and you communicate well with them. And as a small business owner, you can better control the communication we talked about. Like I said, if you missed that first half hour, all of our interviews end up on our YouTube channel if you missed them when they aired on ABC. And there's a lot of great information out there from a lot of great companies. And we're going to put Matt's interview out there before I head to the Cardinal game, I promise you. Because we don't wait. One time I always follow that policy, get it out there immediately, put it out there, so that in case it's sitting on this computer, our production editing PC, we use Adobe Premiere and our video production for the TV show. And one time I uploaded it and then went back to work and the computer blew up. And we'd have lost that.
No good.
So not a good way. We have lost one other show because we were naming things. It should have named it, put copy on, didn't do it. But hey, those are the things you'll learn from those mistakes the hard way sometimes. We don't like to see people do that. But tell me the process. Somebody wants to hire you. I can imagine a lot of people are going, wow, this guy knows what he's talking about. How easy is it for people to hire you? I'm going to bring up your website, give them a little insight here. You've got some information there. Pretty easy to get a hold of you.
Yeah,
Click right here on
so
the
phone number, which you can text or call, Facebook page, which just goes to the Facebook messaging platform, and then the contact form there on the website works too. It all comes to me. I usually do it mostly from my phone, like everybody does things these days. So, yeah, just you can send a message with where you're located, what you're looking to have done, come out, meet with you. I usually try to work with whoever, schedule and meet with you when the time is appropriate for both of us, and just try to be communicative about that whole process. Then send the quote. Usually try to get quotes out within a week or less. And then if you want to schedule a project, we'll just go from there and discuss tentative timeline. And with working outside, that typically always changes, so I just try to update the best that I can for the situation and make sure it's done in a timely manner.
Well said. And you mentioned, I'm going to put back up on the wall, lots of great looking work. If you go to most all of your current, you do have a fair amount of pictures out there. It's good to see you.
Facebook is most currently updated. Like I said, I've done it all myself, so I typically upload stuff to Facebook first, and then when I get time to update the website.
A little bit of stamped concrete. Tell me about this one right here.
Yeah, so
that looks beautiful.
That pattern's called Ashlar Slate. There's multiple versions of that pattern, but I think that was Ashlar Cut Slate. I don't remember. The way that stamped concrete works, you have a color in the concrete, which you mix when the truck gets there. You dump it in, you let it mix for a little bit. Once it's mixed through, you dump it out. And then when you go to stamp it, you have these rubber stamps. They're like a big oversized piece of rubber, and in this case they have that square pattern on them. And then before you stamp, then you put what's called release down, and the release is a different color. So in this situation, the pattern that you saw, there was a tan color in the concrete, and then the release was a dark brown. So with both of those together, the dark brown in this case is the impression color, which goes in those grooves of what looks to be stone. And then after it's all done, you seal it up. You do like a penetrating sealer that helps it cure naturally and cure better and provides a good quality product. And it looks really cool. I like stamped concrete a lot, and there's 20 or 30 different patterns of brick and natural rock texture. So it's really endless. It's a little more affordable than pavers most of the time, which is the next thing. And some people prefer pavers, some people like stamped concrete, and there's pros and cons to both.
Wow, yeah, lots going on there. You can tell Matt has spent a lot of time gaining the expertise to learn this stuff. So there's what that picture looks like from the side, and wow, it's just all good looking. That is great looking stuff. And you've got a lot more pictures out there. We don't have time to go through all of them right now. I got a couple more important questions to ask you. Some of your Christmas stuff,
yeah.
Some more paving. There it is, and up into including the work to tear it all out and make it look good. Wow, those are some good looking, great looking stuff. Check out Matt's Facebook page he's got out there. If you linked off his website too, that's how we find it. You can Google search him too, or Facebook search, I should say, to find his page there by doing that. But with that, as we finish up here, what's the biggest question people have for you before they get started?
Typically, it varies a little bit on the project, but I think most people just want to be clear about what's happening and what's being done. And a lot of times I'll go out for a second meeting and we'll clarify the layout. Like you can take marking paint on the grass or wherever you're working and say, well, this is the shape. And then I can also shoot the grade, which you can find out the difference in height between one point and another. Because with concrete, you have to have water to run away from the structure or away from whatever you're pouring up against. So the water drains off and doesn't sit somewhere it's not supposed to. So if you can shoot that grade and figure out the heights before we start, so everyone's under the understanding.